Welcome everyone to this second episode of our series about municipal elections in Finland. This is Noemi from Radio Turku, and today we are really happy to welcome Johanna Kauppinen, who is a candidate for the Swedish party in Pietarsaari, Jakobstad. So this city has two names, and that's one of the reasons we asked Johanna to come to tell us a bit more about her party and her city in general. I just remind you that the elections are taking place in April. Don't forget to check if you are able to vote. You are supposed to have received a paper at home if you are allowed to participate. And in any case, feel free to check around you in your city. Most likely, you can at least take part in some debates, some presentations, meet local candidates. This is really an occasion to participate more in the life of the country and express how important immigrants are in Finland also. So check around, and now I will give a bit more time to Johanna to introduce herself, her background, and learn more about this city with a double name. Can you
Yes,
tell us a bit
hello.
about yourself?
Hi, Noemi, and thank you for the opportunity to appear in Radio Turku. Turku, I used to visit Turku when I was a small child. My two aunts lived there, so it's a holiday city for me. Um, but yes, my name is Johanna Kauppinen. I'm a lawyer. I used to live in Vaasa for about 20 years. Now I have recently moved to Pietarsaari. It's a town on the west coast of Finland. In Finnish, Pietarsaari, in Swedish, Jakobstad, and I'm here working as at Snellmans, which is a company, and I work as a company lawyer. Um, but I'm also candidate in the municipal elections, um, and yeah, happy to talk about local politics here.
I think it's really interesting to have you, and we discussed it with the team that the Swedish Party for International, it's often a bit of a joke because we don't know much about this party, and it sounds to us really strange to have a party who is specifically for a minority. So that's why you can relate in some way to our own issues as the immigrant community in Finland, and so that's why it made sense to us to invite a candidate from that party. Also, because we are really curious about your program in general and what do you offer. But before all, we were really curious to know a bit more about yourself. Like, how does it feel to be a candidate at the municipal elections in general? Because as internationals, we don't always realize what it implicates in your life, in your schedule, this kind of practical matters. And in your case, do you have a background in politics, or is it the first time? I will show the question, so because there are
Thank you.
different parts in it, so
Exactly.
you can remember
So
it.
this is a second time I'm a candidate in municipal elections. So
Ah,
my first time was in 21 in Vaasa. I got 74 votes, which I think was quite good. And it was Corona time, so the campaigning was very, very different. You didn't see anybody. But nevertheless, that meant that I entered into the Vaasa local politics as part of the Swedish National Party, RKP, or SFP is the abbreviation, and I was a deputy member in the municipal council, and then I was also in two committees. And most of all, I was part of the group. So via that, I got a lot of information, and I too much information even about the functioning of the municipality. But I could really also give input and raise issues and raise questions and make a difference. It's and not only with my party but also with the other parties in Vaasa. There are seven parties in the municipal council. I don't have a background in politics apart from these 4 years. I have
that is already a lot.
it is already a lot. I've always voted. I've always been interested I started to study law because I wanted to understand how the society works. I still don't understand, so it's still a learning path. But I have actually been even a member of both the Greens Party and Kokoomus, the National Coalition Party, earlier. But then when I on my 50th birthday, I said that what do I want to do when I grow up? and I wanted to do something regional and something local. And then I joined that, why not local politics? And then from the Vasa perspective, the Swedish National Party was the one that aligned best with my values, and that's why I then chose that party. And now I have a new city, so I need to find new voters. But I wanted to continue and basically give some of my energy to the development of Pietarsaari.
Okay. And just a practical question, like how do you register as a candidate?
Sure. So first of all, you still have time to register as a candidate.
Good to
So
know.
it's until end of, I believe it's until end of February that the parties are looking for candidates. And I know that in many places there are still some places left. Municipal elections, you need a lot of candidates, and basically, so if you are interested, contact the party of your choice in the town where you live. You still have time, but in practice, of course, you need to be a member of a party. And I just called the local people and said that, hey, I want to become a member. Well, I joined a member, and then I wanted to uh, be a candidate as well. So contact the local people. And the thing is that uh, what is needed to be a candidate is that you share somewhat basically the values of a party that you are choosing, and you have some opinions. You don't need to know everything about everything, but you have a passion or an interest to develop the city or develop the town. That's basically enough, and then you do campaign as you want, either big or small.
Okay. And do you consider that your 4 years as a representative like led to consequences, that it had an impact?
Yes, so I think I became a little bit of a spokesperson for the immigrant community in Vasa. Vasa has about 15% people who have a background from who basically speak another language as a mother tongue, not Finnish or Swedish. And people come from many different reasons. Either they come for work, for they meet the love of their life who is a Vasa person, or they study. But there's quite a lot of internationals in Vasa, and when I was doing my campaign, many of them, many with that background, joined my team. Maybe because they wanted to participate, and it was an avenue of participating. So in the end, I raised quite a lot of practical issues w- relating to how, in practice, the internationals in Vasa get service and so forth. So yeah, I think I did make a difference. I didn't make a revolution, so but yeah, small things here and there.
Okay. Yeah, I think it's important also for us to realize that the municipals have an impact, because we might be tempted to think, okay, only the presidential elections
Yeah,
can change the future, but the municipals are actually choosing a lot on the local areas, but also in the regional
yeah,
area, if I've understood well.
yeah. And now we of course have double, double
Yeah.
elections. So we have the municipal elections. So then you can vote in the municipality where you live. And I'm a candidate for Pietarsaari. But we also have the county elections, aluevalit, and I think it's välfärdsområdesval in Swedish, really long. But it's basically the region that organizes almost everything about healthcare, which is really important. And many people are candidates in both, and some are candidates only either in the county elections or municipal elections. But I would say yeah, somehow the presidential elections are sexier. You have a couple of candidates, and it's cool. And president has a lot of power on foreign policy and has a lot of visibility. But basically, the municipalities decide how much tax you pay. And what kind of schools you have, how uh, where are roads built, where do we get new housing or whatever. And the counties, of course. Well, they decide how the healthcare is organized. A lot of the funding comes from the state, so state is important there, but there's a lot of small and big decisions made on the municipal and county level.
Yeah, and it's really interesting because the health sector it's at a crisis at the moment in
Yeah,
many European countries,
yeah,
and especially in Finland, where I feel that this is a sector where we welcome a lot of internationals, especially from the Philippines, for instance, who are coming to work as nurses, who are coming to learn Finnish, etc. So it's really interesting to think that okay, as an international who came, for instance, to work as a nurse in Finland, I can also impact my
exactly.
everyday life
Yeah,
at work.
exactly.
So, okay, for the nurses around,
Yeah.
take a look. But I will move on to our second question, which is we are exploring a bit Finland with this series of interviews because we are used to have only participants or guests from Turku, but now we're visiting a bit other regions, and I would like to ask you what is the specificity of your region and of Pietarsaari, and how does it feel to be a candidate in a small city? I will just add a disclaimer here that we had this debate in our group of at Radio Turku. We discussed is Jakobstad Pietarsaari a small city?
Yes, it is. I think it
Okay.
is. 20,000 people is a
Yeah.
small city. Yeah. Uh, Maybe not everybody agrees, but I would I would
Yeah,
consider
the
so.
Finns were defending the size, and for other internationals, like for instance, I come from a city with almost 2 million inhabitants, so for me, it's a village.
Exactly. Yeah, yeah.
Pietarsaari.
Uh,
But for Finns, it's still already
it's
a
a
city of
regional city.
importance.
It's a city, and it has roots from 1600. It was founded by a woman, so it's a feminist city in that sense. Ebba
Okay.
Brahe founded that, but named it after her then late husband, Jacob de la Gardie, and that's why it's Jakobstad. But then the
Okay.
region or the next city is Pedersöre, so the area was Pedersöre, and therefore it's Pietarsaari. Anyways, Pietarsaari is part of Pohjanmaa, Österbotten, which is the county on the west coast of Finland, where the majority actually speaks Swedish as a mother tongue. So the majority of people in Pietarsaari as well speak Swedish as a mother tongue. I speak Finnish as a mother tongue. It has a lot of industry, Snellmans, and it has paper industry. Also historical, it has industry. Um, in the past, it has been a seafaring city, so a lot of big ships have gone from here. Um, Also culture city, kulttuurikaupunki. So there is an people actually say that there's more culture in or cultural activities in Pietarsaari compared to Vaasa, and Vaasa of course is a bigger city. So I've only lived here a couple of months now, but I feel very happy, and like every city in Finland, it's really beautiful in the summer. It's by the sea. uh, yeah, and how does it feel uh, to be a candidate in a small city? um, well, for me the challenge is that I've only just moved here, so I know the party, I know some people from that connection. I was in the board of SFP Österbotten, so I from that point of view I know some of the region, but I don't of course know the city. So so and I don't want to pretend, but I want to, uh, how should I say? But I still thought that I want to contribute to the city, and I want to be a, a I want to be an avenue for people, also specifically for immigrants to take contact and give ideas on how to develop the city. So in that sense, for me, it seems a bit daunting because, frankly speaking, I really don't know too many people in the city yet. So I need to
Mm.
get to learn them now.
Yeah, actually, that's a really funny thing that we were imagining. When you're a candidate and there are 20,000 people, can they recognize you in the street, for instance?
Not
Because
yet.
in Turku it feels already
Yeah,
like such a small city.
yeah,
Okay, maybe it's coming after the elections.
exactly. Let's hope so. Yeah.
Actually, it's this is a cultural question, but I feel that in France, if you know political representatives, you might be tempted to consider them a bit like a celebrity and come to talk to them or argue with them. This would be more likely.
Yeah.
But in Finland, is it could it be normal to address a representative in the street, for instance, if you recognize them,
Yes.
or would it be
Yeah.
okay?
Yeah. And I wasn't that known in Vaasa either, but um the threshold to, like in I think, I think thresholds in Finland, it's not so big. So basically, uh, you are treated like an ordinary citizen in your hometown. This also goes for ministers who are from Vaasa and so forth. So it's less of a celebrity, but yeah, you can call anybody and they will pick up the phone.
Okay.
Even ministers will pick up the phone. So
Yeah, true, true.
yeah,
And answer emails. This is actually a really nice thing to remind to people watching this video, that in general, if you want to reach out to your representative, um, I think it's even part of the rules that you have to answer some of the requests of the inhabitants of the city. So if you have specific questions or requests,
yeah,
you can
you
contact
can.
your
Yeah,
representatives.
exactly, absolutely.
Okay. Now we will move on to a question that is a bit more incisive, let's say.
Yeah,
What would convince a non-Swedish speaker to vote for your party? Because one question that we had is, okay, the main, uh, f- how can I say, the main challenge that the Swedish party is trying to tackle is the language barrier, or at least this multiculturality that Finland has.
yeah.
But then, if I'm not speaking Swedish, why would I be interested in your party?
Yeah, the Swedish National Party, SFP-RKP, of course, it's older than Finland. So it was founded 1906 or 8 or whatever. Um, a couple of also the Social Democrats are older than Finland, and municipal councils are older than Finland. So many municipal councils actually are 150 years old now, uh, because back in the day we were part of Russia. This is now a little bit long, but anyways, uh, and if the town had more than 2,000 people, then you had to have a municipal council. Pietarsaari was just below 2,000, but then the townspeople said that no, we want to have a council anyways, and that's why we have a council. But uh, Swedish National Party was found in a way, in its core and in the DNA, is the fact that we want to protect the two languages of Finland, so that you have the right to have education, service, doctors, appointments, basically everything in both Finnish and Swedish. 100 years ago, that was maybe not so evident that you would get Finnish, and nowadays it's the other way around. So one of the key issues for the party is the protection of everybody's right to speak their own language. It has also meant that the party has been quite active in the Sami questions. There is a sympathy there, and basically that minority is also protected. But that's not the only thing. The language thing, it's an important thing, but that's not the only thing. Also because you don't have a lot of influence if you're just a language party. So, but in my opinion, Finland has two liberal parties that are actually liberal, and that's the Swedish National Party and the Greens. If you look at the party programs, who talks about minorities, who talks about human rights, who talks about rule of law, it's those two parties. And I'm not saying that other parties do that as well, but they are not really liberal. So, and my third point is that the SFP-RKP, it's basically a center party. So market economy a little bit to the right, so not to the sort of left, sort of center, a little bit right. um, but yeah, there are many parties to choose from. I think that yeah, and Swedish People's Party tends to be quite pragmatic. So we are of course not represented in large parts of Finland, like in eastern parts of Finland and so forth. So on the municipal level, it's more on the coastal regions. Uh, but yeah, for me it was a good choice. It's a practical, pragmatic, a little bit right from the center party that really also values the intrinsic value of everybody being equal. It's quite at the core of the party.
Okay. Actually, it makes me think about that possibility that for some immigrant in Finland, if you want to apply to the Finnish nationality, a lot of people are preparing the YKI test in Finnish, but it's also possible to pass it in Swedish,
Exactly. Yeah.
which can be a really good deal, for instance, for people who know some languages that are similar, like German. It's even more similar to
Exactly.
English.
Yeah.
But it's true that I feel I have studied in a Swedish university, so,
Yeah.
so I had to study Swedish, and my level is very poor, sadly.
Yeah.
But it's true that it's something that really surprised me when I arrived in Finland. I didn't realize that Swedish was so integrated in the everyday life of Finns that they had to study it since
Yeah.
primary school, etc. And it's really surprising coming from a country where even learning English is a challenge.
Exactly. Yeah.
That
Yeah.
everyone had at least the basics
Yeah.
of Swedish.
Yeah.
Okay. Um, Now that you've explained a bit the specificity of your party, I would be really curious to know about your own program, because you have explained already your economical values and but also human values. So what about your
Yeah.
own program?
What is my platform?
Yeah.
So basically, I was thinking about this, and it's equality and sustainable growth. And equality, because, and they are of course very kind of, how should I say, fairly abstract, but I think equality is really key. It's important for the Finnish society that people have equal opportunities, that they are supported, that people are treated, everybody has the same value. And that is, in a way, that is really important, basically. And then sustainable, we only have one globe, so we do, I mean, I work for a company that makes meat products. Nevertheless, I think that it would be good to eat less meat, and these are not contradictions. Both can happen at the same time. And also cities need to choose things in a sustainable way, but also growth, because if Finland needs companies, Finland needs more people, and Finland's, you basically need to grow a little in order not to shrink. So in that sense, but we need to make this growing in a sustainable way, maybe not by thousands of goods from Temu, I mean, my goodness. And yeah, so yeah, but in a way, but then when I chose, um, if you're looking for candidates, you have this val compass, or election compass, or election machines. And for example, for the Swedish speaking party, you can Google it, and you can basically find all the candidates there, and you have the same information in Finnish, Swedish, and English. And there I had to choose three topics, and I did choose education, because I think equality, the foundation is really done from education, that good quality education is the most important thing. And like my grandmother, have a guess how long formal education she had? 2 weeks. So she went to kiertokoulu, she went to an ambulatory school, and had 2 weeks of formal education. I've had 12 years, and this is the span of two generations. So I think the yeah, education is just important. And the two other, I had to choose three. So basically, one is sustainability, and one is the economy. So good economy is the best protection for everyone.
Yeah, coming from the university sector and academia, I can only agree that education is the best way to empower people,
Yep.
and sustainability. I mean, at the period where we have the president of the most influential and powerful country in the world that is saying that climate change doesn't exist, it's a bit reassuring to see that, okay, in Finland we are not forgetting
Yeah.
that maybe there are some issues, maybe there is less snow than usual, these kind of things.
Exactly.
And concerning the economic side, I think that's the part where we would insist. I'm pretty sure with all the team of Radio Turku that at the moment Finland paid and invested so much financially to attract
Mm,
internationals
yeah.
from all around the globe, pay them a degree, sometimes even like a research, like doctoral research, these kind of things, and then doesn't manage to integrate with people who left everything. And so this is really one side of the, how can I say, one challenge that could be tackled, I think, in a really good way with a bit more onboarding, integration programs, etc. And very sadly, at the moment, the government is cutting a lot of fundings for these very organizations that are helping with this integration progress or this inclusion process. Sorry. So what would you say that in your program could tackle that issue? How could you help not wasting all that money that was invested in immigrants' education and welcoming? And how could Finnish company be a bit more open-minded, for instance, concerning the language barriers or the inclusion of international workers?
The region Pohjanmaa actually employs quite a lot of internationals because the companies have already had to learn it. Otherwise, they would not be in business. Both big companies like Wärtsilä ABB, but also smaller companies like Snellmark, for example. It's a complex issue, and I think everybody needs to do their part. So both the ones who are coming here, you need to be open-minded. You need to learn a little bit of Finnish or Swedish, and you kind of need to get in. The government can do certain, but I think the big change should really happen in the companies. I don't, a company who says that they are not hiring people from abroad and have difficulties finding people. No, you don't. You need to dare to, for example, onboard people in Swedish or have a flexible English, sorry, or have a sort of have an open mind. It's a global world. If we are just looking at people with Finnish background, it's too small. It's just, it doesn't work. But actually, the if I'm not mistaken, the duty to offer integration services and so forth, that is coming to the municipalities. I think it's already come or it's coming. So in
January,
so I think in that sense, on the local level, we can find practical solutions, getting making sure that the newcomers get an idea how the working life is, that there are language courses which are also on evening time, so people can do that even if they are studying or working. Finns should continue speaking Finnish and Swedish even if somebody so you don't switch to English immediately. And I say to my friends that you can always say that puhutaan suomea, halutaan oppia suomea, vi talar svenska, jag vill lära svenska. So insist
good advice.
Insist on that, because the Finns do it because they want to make it easier for you, but it doesn't, and you only learn languages by using them. But it's and at the same time, I believe that people there's a value that people keep their own culture and own identity and own language and mother tongue for children. So I think it's quite possible that you have different identities, that you don't lose your Frenchness even if you live in Finland, and nor should you, in a way, or wherever you come from. Yeah, I think we're learning. We have to. So
yeah, exactly. And as you said, this it's a cultural change that needs time and small daily effort, as the example that you mentioned, not switching to English when someone is trying to practice Finnish. This is really helping with this change in general. My last question to conclude a bit this interview would be, why should internationals vote during these elections? I think we have mentioned some reasons already, but you personally, if you were meeting internationals, why would you, would be the reasons to convince them to go to vote?
It's
free.
It's free. and you don't need to register. So you, the fact that you are living in a municipality, and for Europeans, it's basically 2 months, and for people from outside the European Union, if you have lived in Finland 2 years and now live here, you can vote. But basically, voting is a privilege. The majority of people who are living in this globe do not have access to free elections, and we have. So you should, you should use that right. um, uh, it's a hard-earned right. And then the second thing is that um, politicians listen to communities who vote at the end of the day. So by using your vote, you also have more power. And of course, you don't have immediately all power, but basically, the vote is secret, so people don't know. Of course, the government doesn't know who has voted for what. But what is statistically registered is the mother tongue of the voters. And
Ah,
so that can be seen. And what if, and now I don't remember the numbers now, but you can see it per language group. People with Spanish, Swedish, Spanish, English, German, Somali vote quite a lot. People with Russian, Albani vote less, and so forth. But I'm pretty sure that what if all the foreigners would vote? And perhaps one last thing. Of course, election systems are different in different countries. It's not a two-party system. I think election systems both in Germany and France are quite complicated, and they're different. But
yeah.
but Google it, listen to Yle has a lot of good programs. So you spend half an hour learning the election system, and that's it. It's not more difficult, and it's part of, yeah. You live here, make a difference.
Yeah, and exactly as you said on Ule, you will be able to feel a sort of quiz
Exactly. Yeah.
to know which candidate
Yeah.
fits you the best. We mentioned it in the last episode, but this is a really good tool to give you an idea of which party would
Yeah.
fit your ideas better. Maybe not the candidate, but at least the parties
Exactly.
to guide you a bit. And it's interesting what you're saying about it's a privilege, because I think that my generation, we grew up, at least in France, with the idea that, I can vote, but do I really need to?
Yeah.
Because it's so normal. And then we realized, oh, wow, actually, it's
Exactly.
only the older generation that is voting, and that is contradicting a lot of our current problems or
Yeah.
values. And that's, I think it took me personally a lot of time to realize what a privilege it was,
Yeah.
especially as a woman,
Yeah.
when I some when suddenly it clicked that, okay, actually before my grandma, women could not vote.
Exactly.
So
Yeah.
this is the moment when you realize, I'm wasting years and years of fights. But I think that it takes often a lot of time to realize it, and sadly we tend to go to vote only when we realize that, oh my god, if I don't vote now, we really are
Exactly.
going to have a big issue. And
Exactly.
we need to repeat it around,
Yeah.
to our friends and colleagues, that it's now that we need to make a difference, as you said, because we cannot go at the last moment, at the last minute. Let's not procrastinate with
Yeah.
voting. It's too important for
Yeah.
our future.
Yeah. Absolutely.
So, but thank you for this interview, Johanna. And it was really interesting to. I need to stop saying interesting. It was a valuable moment. Uh, my teacher would be angry at me for repeating the same words. No, it was really good to have insights from a candidate from a different
Yeah.
location, different party, etc. So thank you for joining us today. Our first guest from Pietarsaari.
Exactly.
Yeah,
Hey, thank you, Noemi. Thank you. Thank you for the invitation. It was really a pleasure. Go vote.
perfect.